original recipe episode, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I just realized I don't even have my headphones on, so I don't know why I'm wearing them. So we'll just take those off. Daniel couldn't make it; he's busy. So it's Alex and I today. A combination has a voice and a half still. Hopefully, Alex, there is no extra editing for you to do, and I cough my lungs out when I try and introduce a segment this time.
It's okay. It's okay. That's my job.
Indeed. Okay, we're going to talk about a few things today. Obviously, the Habs. Obviously, the Leafs, a 60-goal scorer in the league. That's a pretty big deal. We're going to talk about Russia officially losing the World Championships, which feels really late, by the way. We're going to talk about Boku Imama. We were going to talk about him last episode, but like Doug Wilson a few weeks ago, I forgot to mention it. Shame on me. Masterton candidates are out. We're going to have that discussion again. Maybe a reflection about teams who have missed the playoffs. The NHL Player Polls are out, Alex. Alex has not seen them. I texted them before the show saying, do not look at them. And that will be fun. But to open the show, Alex. Yeah. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I'm surprised they came out on time.
Oh, I know. No power outages. Oh, and it's on a Wednesday. Interesting. Oh, I love how they have the video and it's all the stars talking. And it's like ridiculous. To open the show, though, Alex, last night was a big game. It was the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars. Vegas fall in the shootout as they did the San Jose game. So they leave 2 points on the ice. So their playoff hopes are technically still alive, but the math is no longer on their side. AKA, the worst thing in sports, they no longer control their own destiny. If Dallas earn a single point in their final 2 games, they clinch. They have to lose both games in regulation, and Vegas need to win both their final 2 games for the Knights to make it. For anyone who doesn't know, tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights play the Chicago Blackhawks, which you could see them getting a win there. However, the Dallas Stars play the Arizona Coyotes, which credit to them. Arizona did beat Minnesota last night, but then they also play the Anaheim Ducks on Friday when Vegas take on St. Louis. It doesn't look good for Vegas, Alex.
It doesn't look good for Vegas. So I was just thinking, imagine, and I'm just creating the scenario in my head. Obviously, it can't happen because this player's not on that team anymore. But imagine if Fleury wasn't traded at the deadline, and we're in this situation, and essentially, like Fleury would play a extremely big role in Vegas's playoff hope. I think that that'd be quite a story.
Imagine Alan Walsh's response and his tweets about it. If Fleury just puts on a game and stops it. If only. But hey, he's in Minnesota. Minnesota, by the way, my dark horse to win the Stanley Cup. My dark horse. So, I'm saying that even after the Arizona game, I like what I'm seeing from Minnesota. I really like them a lot. This is pretty bad for Vegas. Listen, they've had Mark Stone back. How healthy is he? We wonder. Pacioretty came back a few games ago. Hasn't been quite scoring as much. He's never scored in the big moments, though, as Habs fans, though. First off, Robin Leonard is officially now done for the season. It sounded like apparently Vegas said, hold on a second, because there was some cap issues, along with what we talked about last episode, which is kind of weird. More cap issues. You love to see that. He's done for the season. League. Oh, great. Fantastic. So they're done for the season. Sorry, they aren't. Robin Leonard is. Do we think he's done in Vegas overall? Because that's a sense going around right now. Because it doesn't look like this season ended very well with the relationship, or at least between him and Pete DeBoer, head coach.
So that's I think the factor for me is it a thing between the coach and the player, or is it a thing between the organization and a player? Because remember, they brought in Robin Leonard, even though, like, yes, Marc-Andre Fleury was struggling at the time, but Marc-Andre Fleury was their guy. And they still brought in Robin Leonard and decided to extend him. Yeah, I understand, like, they've had things in the past where they've signed guys and ended up letting them go. But I don't know. I'd have to know that first, but I think if it's a coaching thing, and like, again, I said last episode, I don't think that's working. I don't think the coach and the team are meshing. And it doesn't seem like the players enjoy like his playing for Vegas, and his quotes don't really help him either. DeBoer's quotes don't really help him in the public light either. So if DeBoer still coach, I think I think Leonard is done with Vegas.
I do have one quote actually right here, and this is in regards to Robin Leonard. Jesse Granger put this out. It would have been yesterday. Pete DeBoer and Robin Leonard being out for the season. Quote, "The announcement speaks for itself. I'm concerned about the guys that are here battling with us here tonight." Some people took that as a veiled shot at Robin Leonard. I'm not going to go that far. But saying that, battling with us here tonight, if I'm Robin Leonard, I sort of feel like, you really? It's not like I've been battling with this injured shoulder, I think it is, for the past month or something. I'm trying to battle and you're just throwing me under the bus. I mean, Pete DeBoer doesn't do himself any favors. And I continue to say the man does not know how to manage goaltenders.
And I guess with that quote, maybe it's a bit of a stretch to say it was specifically going after Robin Leonard. But I think it's fair to say that quote, the way he said it, I think the way it came out was a little unnecessary. Like, I get the point he's making.
Appreciate Robin battling. Like, would that have been so hard?
Right. Like, in any other way, like he said it, I think it felt to me like in the worst possible way. And if you're gonna do it be like that, then no, Leonard's done. I would be done. I don't like.
Well, it just doesn't. He's. I feel bad for goalies in Vegas. Just feel like they've never really been appreciated over there, which is rich considering the story of how their goaltending magically saved them their first year and got them all the way to the Cup final. And even when Fleury was down, remember the legend of Maxime Lagacé or Legacy, whatever. People said it so many different ways. Oscar Dansk was playing games and they were winning. The thing that their team really helped them. Oh, my mom's just let my dog in. Hello, Carrie. The parents from Carrie, the Golden Knob. Hello, Carrie. How are you? She continues to ignore me, kind of like how Vegas ignore the responsibility of treating their players with respect. You know who else I feel really bad for, by the way, in the world of goaltending?
Who?
Thompson. Because after both those shootout losses, that kid looked like that he was carrying the weight of his shoulders. And he was in both those shootouts, both the San Jose one and in Dallas. He only allowed a goal in each. And it was Borderlow, and then who had the Dallas one? Heiskanen, who I was amazed because Heiskanen never finishes in the sweet fake backhander, which was nice. But I feel horrible for that kid because it feels like he must have the weight on his shoulders right now.
And they're putting him in an extremely difficult position where he's letting in one goal, and the team in front of him who I think we've all praised. I mean, I've praised many times is not doing the job that they're there for, and so it must be extremely frustrating. And it's not like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but Logan Thompson should not be the one who's backstopping this team.
I just want to quickly get his numbers up because last time I checked, he was at a 920 save percentage. He's down to a 918, but that is still this year is almost elite goaltending the way this season has gone. So I mean, that guy, he's been doing his job. You know who hasn't though, and you know who I don't feel bad for? Jack Eichel. So there was a little video that was going around that he's going and, the rest of his teammates, they're consoling Logan Thompson, right? Consoling Logan Thompson. And he has this thing of he rolls his eyes, right? And he did the same thing towards the end of regulation. Here's the big problem I have with Jack Eichel, right? Rolling your eyes at your goalie, by the way, who feels like he probably single-handedly lost you his season. I think it was just insensitive. It's not what a leader should look like. Jack Eichel, who was the captain of the Buffalo Sabres, I'll remind you. This is a guy who at the end of regulation took a garbage roughing coincidental call. In his last 5 games, by the way, I will point out he has 1 point and it's an assist. This type of time of the year, I get he didn't have a training camp and all that. Didn't score in either of his shootout attempts. I'm just saying that Jack Eichel right now is a massive disappointment. And I think more stress needs to be put on the fact that that guy is just not mature enough right now. He just isn't. And if I'm a Sabres fan right now, I'm laughing at it.
Sure.
I don't like him.
And those Sabres fans should also recognize that it was the failure of their organization. Yeah, he was a captain. Yeah, he was handed $10 million. Let's remember who handed him $10 million, and let's remember who handed him the captaincy. 100%. I'm not defending Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel should be blamed for lots of this, along with the rest of the guys on that team who are getting paid. But let's not pretend like the Buffalo Sabres put Jack Eichel in a good situation at all. Surrounded by what? Nothing? A bunch of young guys.
The thing that gets me is the eye rolling when, like, in that moment with your goaltender. It's just, what are you doing, man? That's a moody teenager move to do. Like, come on, what are you doing right now? Is this the image you want to give off?
Sure, I'm not disagreeing with that. It was immature, but I don't think it's fair for the guy to come in who's played 32 games with the organization. It's not like he was brought in and he's the leader of that team. They have how many captains? They have 3 other captains that I can think of off the top of my head. Stone, Pietrangelo, Pacioretty. He's not the leader. Like, I get it. And they should be the ones talking to him now and saying, you can't do that. But he's not the leader of that team the same way that Buffalo threw him the captaincy and said, here you go. Here's a bunch of other 20-something year olds and kind of figure it out.
McDavid was drafted before Matthews, right? Like year-wise. Obviously, they were the year before Matthews?
Yeah.
Okay. So Matthews has been in the league a shorter amount of time, and he's got much more maturity to him.
Look at the players he was surrounded with, and look at the general manager the first 3 years of his, or 2 years of his tenure.
That's a fair point. I'll give you that. I wouldn't roll my eyes over Lamoriello either. That's fair.
He wasn't even allowed facial hair, let alone imagine rolling your eyes with and Mike Babcock, and say what you want about Mike Babcock after the fact, but like, it's Mike Babcock.
I don't like your family. You're not playing.
Right.
Listen, I'm just like, last point I'm making on it is, listen, Eichel, you've been in this league a long time. I'm not giving you crap about the surgery or whatever. That was your choice. That's your body. I'm completely fine with it. But listen, you're in a market that demands excellence. You are a hell of a player. You do make the money. So I'm not blaming you for taking the contract. I would take an $80 million contract, but do you know what? The standards are there. And an assist in 5 games for the most crucial parts of the season is not good enough. Listen, just stop rolling your eyes. That's all I want. Don't roll your eyes to a goaltender that is on the brink of tears. You know me. I'm a goaltending guy. I don't like blaming goalies. I don't like what I saw from Jack Eichel. But I mean, it's looking at Vegas as a whole, though. It's safe to say people said that San Jose game was pretty much the dagger, not getting the full 2 points. But losing to Dallas and not getting that additional point as well, I think it is not looking good. I think it's fair to say that, barring disaster, the Vegas Golden Knights are missing the playoffs for the first time in their short but colorful history.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said before, it's not even in their hands. If Dallas gets a single point tonight against Arizona,
pretty possible.
It's I no offense to Arizona, but like, that's very likely.
And then Anaheim to fall back on,
right? Which
is, with all the subtractions they made to core players at the deadline, it's a shame. It's a shame. By the way, so I was shocked because I've been paying so much attention to the NBA playoffs. I took a night off of watching basketball last night because I'm like, do you know what? I want to give my full attention to this Anaheim game, right? So I did not notice until the last few minutes that Arizona were winning and then beat the Minnesota Wild. I was not counting on that. But this sets up tonight if the Montreal Canadiens lose in regulation to the New York Rangers, then the Habs have clinched last place. So let's go Rangers. I can't believe I'm saying that, but let's go Rangers. We'll see what happens there. We can get to the Montreal Canadiens a little later. Same with the Leafs and that. But how about we look at the NHLPA Player Poll?
Sure.
Okay. Alex, you have not seen this.
No.
Okay. So there are 3 different categories here. There's the on ice, there's the off ice, and then there's the personality stuff. So First off, Alex, I want you to guess. I'm trying to make it so the first one. Okay, so I'll give you the first category. I don't want to screen share it because then it just gives everything away. Yeah. On ice, if you need one game, so if you need to win one game, who is the one goalie you want on your team? Who do you think is number 1 in this category from the players? By the way, the NHLPA, I'm just going to read this one thing, actually. The NHLPA Player Poll is back with our 2021-2022 edition. More than 500 NHL players were surveyed on 15 hockey-related questions during the regular season. Players weighed in on a variety of topics, including questions on the most complete player, the player they dread facing against but admire, best hockey hair, and more. And yeah, the first one. If you need to win one game, who is the one goalie you would want on your team? Who do you think the player said?
I know in the past it's been Price, but I think looking at last year's playoffs,
I think Vasilevsky was actually the player poll number 1 last year.
Oh, really? I thought it was.
I think he was, yes.
Well, I'm going to go with Vasilevsky.
With 37.4% of the vote is Andre Vasilevsky. Guess who second place with 13.9 is?
Is it Carey Price? I don't know.
It is.
The way you said it. The way you said it. The way you said it.
Third place is 6.7% Marc-Andre Fleury. Carey Price is 13.9% at second. Yeah. The man has not played, and they still have that much confidence in him. Just want to point that out. John Gibson was at 3.5, 3.1 Markstrom, 3.1 Quick, Saros 3.1. UC Saros is far too low. I would like to know when this was taken because I don't see Igor Shesterkin on this list.
Yeah.
So I would like to know exactly when this was taken.
Also, UC Saros, I don't know if you saw, injured last night.
That's awful. That is not good.
That's not good for Nashville, who I think they're playing either Colorado or Calgary essentially in the first round.
They're out. They've lost. Wrap it up. The season is done.
It's a waste of 8 days, as Daryl
just bag your suitcase and go to Mike Fisher's house. Like the season is done. Go to your vacation. Doesn't matter. If you need to win one game, who is the one skater you would want on your team?
Sidney Crosby.
He is second with 17.3%.
Excuse me?
He was second.
Say the category again.
If you need to win one game, who is the one skater you would want on your team?
And it's not Sidney Crosby.
It's McDavid with 42.4% of the vote. I get it, but that wide a margin is insane. No offense, McDavid hasn't won anything yet. Like you just turn on Sid like that? Hedman was third with 6.7.
That's
Barkov
a good show.
3.5 and McKinnon 3.3.
Those are some good shouts, but I mean, they know better than us, I guess.
Again, I would like to ask when this is taken because there is a lack of 60 goal scorer Auston Matthews on this list. Without saying he would overtake Matthews, I would put Sidney Crosby, obviously. But like, where the hell is Matthews? Who is the best stick handler in the league? This is actually very interesting because there's someone on here and I thought his teammate would actually be on here. But who is the best stick handler in the league? I'm not surprised who won, but and it's a significant margin. He had more than half the vote.
Why am I blanking here?
You're gonna feel silly if you don't get it. You're gonna feel silly.
Like I'm going towards Patrick Kane, but like I just feel like that's wrong.
You gotta lock in your answer. Man.
Okay, I'm gonna lock in my answer, and I'm really upset because now I'm really stumped. This is
it's Patrick Kane.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. David was second with 22%. McKinnon 5, Barkov 2, Gaudreau 1.4, Matthews 1.4. I thought Marner would be there.
Yeah, so did I.
Matthews isn't so much the dirty dangler than he is a shoot puck. Not saying he's not good with the stick, obviously, but I was surprised that Marner wasn't higher.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Who is the best passer in the league? This one's surprising. I don't think you're going to get it because we know this player more as a goal scorer. By the way, he wins by 2% of the vote. It's very surprising. And it's not Nicholas Backstrom. He was third.
Oh, that was going to be my guess, but
no, not Backstrom. No.
I mean, like, there's a part of me that wants to go with Kucherov, but like Kucherov is more of a goal scorer. But Fifth. Yeah, he's more of a goal scorer.
Yes,
than he is a passer.
Patrick Kane is second, by the way. McDavid is fourth.
Oh, I was gonna go with Patrick Kane. Okay, so it's not Patrick Kane. You're giving me the answers here.
Kane was up on Backstrom by 0.2%. By the way.
Wow. Okay, you know what? Is it Panarin?
No, it's Draisaitl.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what I mean. Also, where the hell is Marner?
Interesting.
This is weird. This is very skewed.
See, player? Yeah. Sorry, no, I was gonna say as you were listing the names, and then you said he was a goal scorer. I was gonna say Marner, but Marner's not a. He is a goal scorer, even though he has
35 goals. Like, not bad.
He's not a goal scorer.
Which player do you wish you could shoot like?
Oh, it's got to be Ovechkin, right?
53% of the vote.
Yeah.
Matthews is second at 24%. Again, I feel like this was done at the beginning of the season.
Where was Laine?
Third at 3.4, and then Pasternak, Stamkos, then Kucherov, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Kucherov and Stamkos both had 1.3%. Yeah. Who is the most complete player?
Okay, so it's got to be Crosby at 1.
You nailed it.
Yeah, and is Bergeron 2?
He's 3.
Oh, is Barkov's 2?
Barkov is 2. Yes. Then McDavid's 4th, which is not right. They have him as a more complete player than Antti Kopitar at 5th, which I'm like, I don't know about McDavid's defense. But
don't show Mark Spector. You might get mad.
No, that's quite wrong. But yeah, no. Sidney Crosby 29%, Barkov 20%, Bergeron at 19%. Barkov maybe because Bergeron doesn't have the elite offensive numbers, but man's gonna win the Selke this year.
Yeah.
Which NHL arena has the best ice? And it's a significant margin again. You should get this so easily, dude.
Has the best ice?
Has the best ice, yeah.
I feel like it's one of the newer arena, but okay, the way you said it. You said Montreal, like the way you said it, the way you said it. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Second place is Rogers Place with 13%.
Which is
Bell Center is 39.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
fair. I would have picked Rogers Place, right? Because that's the one in Edmonton.
It is, yes.
Okay.
It's obvious because I remember I think it was Don Cherry talks about like this is obviously a different arena, but he talks about like playing in all those crappy barns to play on the silky smooth sheet of the Montreal Forum.
Yeah.
So obviously they would then continue that and have the best size at the Bell Center. Second place Rogers Arena. Fourth place was Winnipeg. I mean, they know how to take care of ice in Winnipeg, obviously. Las Vegas was 4th. Minnesota was 5th, and 6th was the Garden, which is interesting. Okay. Yeah, sure. Which player do you least enjoy playing against but would like to have on your team?
Is number 1 Tom Wilson?
No, he's 3rd.
Oh, wow.
You're going to be shocked by number 2 ahead of Tom Wilson. I'll tell you that. You're going to be shocked.
Okay. So is it, oh man. Like I know one of them is Brad Marchand, like 1 or 2 has to be Brad Marchand.
What do you think Marchand is?
He's got to be, I thought he was 2, but is he 1?
He's number 1. Number 2 is McDavid.
Okay.
Which
I get
it makes sense. But he's not a rat bastard. He's just really good.
That's the thing. I guess I was thinking of it the wrong way, but that's a good shout, McDavid. No one ever talks about him like that.
No, Hedman 4 and then McKinnon 5. Who is the best current women's hockey player? This was a significant margin.
I wonder
Win by 23%. It's Marie-Philippe Poulin. And then Hillary Knight got 20%, then Amanda
Yeah.
Kessel, Kendall Coyne Schofield, then Sarah Nurse. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Okay, off ice stuff. Which is the best NHL road city to spend an off day?
It's got to be Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
It's gotta be
Then it's
Vegas.
New York, then it's Fort Lauderdale in Florida, then LA, then Nashville.
Okay.
Which player do you think could make it in another sport? I don't know how many people would get this, but the answer, you're going to hear it. And if you watch the All-Star Weekend properly, you won't be surprised by this. It's very close to all of them, but number one is, I'll give you a hint. He'd be really good at golf, apparently. I'll give you a hint. He had a really good time at the All-Star game. He was having a good time.
Jack Hughes.
No, Joe Pavelski. Apparently, I don't know.
When you said golf, I was going to say Phil Kessel, but I don't think he was at the All-Star game. So.
No, and he is not on here. It's just a lot of golf guys. Those are the only ones for off ice. Now, player personality. Best hair in hockey. It's Cody Eakin. John Merrill is fourth. Okay, Michael Pizzetta's not on this, and I think that's a travesty. Erik Karlsson's only third, which I think because he probably cut it, right?
Yeah.
Which NHL player do you think is the best follow on social media?
Current NHL player?
Yes.
I was going to say Roberto Luongo, but
he'd probably be up there. It's nasty too if we count.
Yeah, of course. I don't know.
It's PK.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
Then Matthews is second.
I forgot. I didn't think about PK. That was
Marchand third, Huberdeau fourth for some reason. This is a good one that I kind of like, and it is the second last one, but the last one is kind of weird. Which NHL player is the best role model?
I mean, I'd say Patrice Bergeron.
It's second with 9.8.
Okay, I want to say the first one to be Crosby, but I feel like that one might be wrong.
42.7% for Sidney Crosby.
So I'm right.
So what I've heard from, I don't have sources, obviously. From everything you hear about Crosby is not only is he just a professional who never takes a day off, but apparently he's a really good dude, like a genuinely great person. So I'm not surprised to see Crosby so high up. And seeing Bergeron at second makes that Melnick article about, I don't think I was here for it, right? I think I was sick. Yeah. The part that really made me mad was when he was taunting Patrice Bergeron. Like, it's Pat. Who are you that taunt Pat? Come on. It's Pat. Don't disrespect Pat. That's just rude. McDavid was third and Marc-Andre Fleury fourth. I don't know because he's a prankster. The last one, which non-NHL athlete would you like to trade places for a day? Take a guess. I mean, it's the top five are all pretty well known guys.
Which non-NHL athlete
would you like to trade places with for a day?
Tom Brady.
He was.
Was that number one?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That I did not know. I would
guess number two.
LeBron.
Think of the sport that NHLers seem to be obsessed with.
Tiger Woods.
It was Tiger, yes. Then LeBron, then Roger Federer, then Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Roger Federer's in there.
Yeah. I mean, he's better than who was the one who is it? Was it Novak who wasn't getting vaccinated or something? Or then he got
Djokovic. Yeah,
Djokovic. Yeah, he sucks. Anyway, that's it for the PA stuff. That was fun. I'm surprised they didn't just do best overall player. They've changed it up a bit. That was just a little dull. Whatever. Okay, we're over it. Okay. Looking around the league, the Leafs have signed Hobey Baker winner Dryden McKay, the goaltender. The Hobey Baker winner, but not the best goaltender in the NCAA. Never forget. Because it's a weird league. Now, for those of you who don't know, there was some sort of people were thinking PED thing to do with McKay. It's a bit of a complicated story. Do some research on it, but it feels like it's definitely not this kid's fault. There's a bit of question as to suspensions with him. I think he got a short-term one. Was it 6 months?
4 months.
4 months. So people should go look that up. I think he is eligible to return to the NCAA. So it looks like there's some understanding because I think normally he would have received a lifetime ban. But a good prospect goaltender. I don't think we can sit here and say how good he's going to be because goaltenders are weird.
Right.
But, you know, obviously there's been criticism with the Leafs about developing goaltenders, aka the last one they did was Reimer and then all that sort of question. So it's always not a bad thing to go and get a Hobie Baker winning goaltender.
Yeah, and their I guess goaltending depth or goaltending prospect depth is not great. Obviously Ian Scott, Joseph Wall, and both those, especially with Ian Scott, you know, obviously he missed that full year and a bit with an injury. Joseph Wall's kind of been, he's also been injured on and off, and I think they have 2 guys in Russia right now. So again, a lot of it feels like a lot of unknowns, and not that, like, I mean, again, like you said, even with McKay, it's going to be unknown too because it's a goalie. So again, it's not the worst thing to have another goaltending prospect.
Mm-hmm. Remember, it won't really matter when Hellebuck or Gibson reliefs next year. Maybe even you throw Robin Leonard into that mix.
Exactly.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Trust me. The Caps game, they come back. Okay. Listen. You need overtime to beat the Capitals without Alexander Ovechkin. No.
He was there for trip? Like half the game.
Was it a trip on Ovechkin?
I mean, it looked like a trip. Okay, are you asking me if it was a trip or are you asking me if it was malicious? Let's separate the because that happened. Both those
discussion
because
first.
Both those conversations happened within one, and then it doesn't really make sense. That doesn't really do anything. So yes, if you're asking me if a trip, I'd argue yes, it is a trip.
Mm. But it wasn't meant to hurt him. It wasn't meant to take out Alex Ovechkin.
I don't think it was. It didn't seem to me like it was malicious. Did it seem to you like he went for the poke check? Yeah, his stick went, I guess, up, which is how
it was a freak accident to me.
Right. Like I don't think it was. Yes, it was a trip. It should have been a 2-minute penalty.
In those instances, tripping. Like goaltenders are so focused on the puck. I think they rarely try and go after players. Who was it earlier this year that clipped a guy?
Aaron Dell.
Drake beside him, I think Robin Leonard occasionally. Like Carey Price is notorious for giving shoves and slashes, but he doesn't, you know. Well, excluding what he did to Ben Lovejoy a couple of years ago when he was punching him with his blocker. We won't talk about that. That was Petrie's fault to begin with. Yeah, you don't really ever see in that scenario in that play. It was Shalgren, right? Yeah, I don't see it purposely being as it was. The Detroit game was meaningful because Auston Matthews, once he hit 59, you kind of, when he scores, he feels like he always scores a pair. He hits 60.
Yeah. I got it spoiled for me.
Yeah. So, okay, tell that story.
So, I mean, I've definitely brought it up on the podcast before, but for some magical reason, my television is 20 seconds behind. So, so when I'm watching games with you or when we were watching them with you and Mike, I'd always be 20 seconds behind. So the goal was always spoiled for me. But recently it's been okay. Like, you know, for some, the Sportsnet app or the Score app and the Leafs app is also delayed too. So I wasn't getting that delay, or that's me being spoiled. But last night when Matthews scored 60, Elliot Friedman right away tweets Matthews 60 or something along those lines. And he hadn't scored on my TV yet. So I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, oh, I was just so disappointed. I'm like, I just want to experience something nice for once. But yeah, no, it was great that he scored 60. Only Leaf to score 60 ever.
That is so weird to think of.
Well, that's what happens when you're owned by a monster for the back half of the 1900s.
That is a very good way to describe it.
Is the way I put it.
The monster.
By a monster. But yeah, again, we've had that discussion. Greatest Leaf of all time. Like, even if he doesn't win anything, like if he doesn't win a cup with the Leafs, I still think he's the greatest Leaf of all time. He'll have this will be a second Rocket. He'll be in the contention for the Hart if he wins it or not. He'll probably be in contention for the Hart for a couple more years. Like we said it last year, where it's like, oh, there's no way he's going to be able to score at the same rate again. And he did. So it would feel like misleading to say, oh, he can't score at that same rate again, because he did it against all the goalies. So yeah, and again, he hit 100 points, which he's never done. Which again, that also felt weird to say, but he hit 100 points too.
You know what was really weird the other day? Stamkos hit 100 points for the first time. I'm like, really?
That caught me off guard, because oh man, injuries killed.
Yeah, I know.
That's something we'll always talk about. When he retires, we always talk about Ovechkin, but Stamkos could score a boatload of goals. And I wonder if, and this is hindsight, but if he didn't have those injuries, I wonder if we're having a conversation where Stamkos wouldn't have had as many goals as Ovechkin, but I think the pace he would have scored at would be similar. And we're having that conversation as well.
I'm going to get up his numbers quickly, because he's definitely over 400 goals. I wouldn't be surprised if he was over 500 by now. I want to quickly double check that, because like Stamkos was obviously one of the big goal scoring guys. Like, he's not even at 500. So yeah, without injuries, I think he'd be chasing 6, like 100%. It's very strange. He needs 22 goals to hit 500, which he will do. He's obviously he's still over point per game. It's insane to think of too. Like, how many 82 game seasons has he had?
And the other thing too with Stamkos is, kind of the first year they won the cup in the bubble, where he was pretty much injured the entire time except for that one shift. And he scored on that shift, but the conversation around it was, oh, do the Lightning need Stamkos?
Yes. And
it's like, guys, he's their captain, which obviously means something, but it's not like he's just deteriorated as a player. Like,
hey, guess what? That final series against Montreal, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. Yeah, shut up.
You're right. They don't need him, I guess. Like, I guess they won it without him, but don't underestimate his value to that team. He might not be first line center. That might be Braden Point's spot. He might not even be a center. He might be their second line winger, but don't underestimate his value to that team. 100-point
scorers don't grow on trees.
Right.
Even this year was scoring up, and like, I think it was Jason Robertson was the 14th 40 goal scorer this year last night. And you're like, oh my, okay, we're doing good this year. Stories to keep an eye on when you look at the Leafs season finale against the Bruins this week, on Friday. Marner's 3 points away from 100, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe Tavares needs a hat trick for 30. I think Nylander's like 3 points from 80. I was just looking at maybe some like highlight events that could be happening. Marner, he's probably not going to hit 40 goals. Otherwise, he needs to have a 5-goal performance. Nice Timo Meier game to have, but
yeah, no, I doubt he scores. I doubt he scores 5. I'm at that game, and now everyone, obviously, now that they've clinched second in the division and have the wonderful opportunity of playing Tampa Bay in the first round, it's like, I love it. Everyone's talking about, who are they going to sit? I'm like, how about you sit nobody? How about that? Okay, I'm going to this game. I'd like to see some nice hockey.
Realistically, like, there is no reason that Matthews should play the Bruins.
I doubt Matthews or Marner. Not Matthews. Matthews or Tavares play. That wouldn't. It's just going to be a cluster of different players.
Abersazy, Kerfoot, Nylander, first line.
Yeah,
that's how I
pretty
see
much
that happening. Okay, the Habs, going to that Bruins game. So what's really funny is as we were finishing up the show, my family were obviously watching the pre-show and the sort of lead up to that game. And as we were wrapping up, I heard the applause start. I went downstairs, got a drink. The applause was still going. I stood at the top of the stairs going to my basement. The applause was still going. Over 10 minutes, the applause for Guy Lafleur by the Bell Center. The tribute was amazing. They played My Way, which is fantastic. I've watched it back a few times and I've cried a few times watching it. Literally, there is no place on earth like the Bell Center. How freaking special. Shout out to Michelle Lacroix afterwards tweeting, obviously the in-arena voice of the Habs, saying, "I would have been disappointed if you didn't interrupt me." He tried 3 times to settle the Bell Center crowd down. I think they were saying when the forum closed, the ovation was 14 minutes. Koivu's return from cancer was 7 minutes, and Lafleur was at 10. Shout out to Brendan Gallagher not letting the Habs off the ice until they had went under his banner, Guy Lafleur's, and gave a final salute. Beautiful moment. Yeah, no, he's the captain. Make him the captain. Make him the captain for that. Make him the captain.
We gotta talk about that too.
I think we can get to that in a second. I think we talk about Weber. Talk about Weber because that's been going around lately.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see that penalty shot call? Not the attempt itself, but the penalty they called to make it a penalty shot.
I didn't actually. Funny enough, I saw the penalty attempt before I even heard about the penalties. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, it was such a bad officiating too, because like they
What?
missed a
NHL
2-man call towards the end of the game. So Hoffman turns over the puck because of course he does, but he does a great job getting back and stopping the attempt. It's no penalty, and then they make it a penalty shot. Like the guy wasn't even. If you wanted to like try and argue a hook, you would have been wrong, but he wasn't even clear. It wasn't a penalty shot.
Yeah, no, I did see it. I did see it. You're right. Yeah, no, I did not think that was a penalty.
And then I think
that caught
Eric
me off guard.
Yeah, me
yeah.
too.
Eric,
the Bell Center as well.
It caught me off guard that they called that a penalty.
And then Eric Howla on the shootout attempt misses the puck and has to skate back. He doesn't touch it like Marche did a couple years ago in the shootout, so it counts. But like, come on, what are we doing? On a night about Guy Lafleur, the rest made it about themselves.
I heard about the penalty shot the next day. I had gone into work and someone was like, "Oh, did you see that penalty shot last night?" I'm like, I thought they were talking about like the Vegas and San Jose. I'm like, no. It's like, yeah, he just completely skated over the puck. I'm like, that's hilarious. That like really
the Jake Evans embellishment. Even worse. Like Evans gets pulled to the ground. It's like embellishment. No, it wasn't embellishment. It was awful. It's
greatest refs, right? Greatest refs.
They're awful. It's amazing. So, Carey Price did apparently travel with the team to New York, not to play, but to see his surgeon, the same surgeon who operated on his knee. Apparently, it was a scheduled appointment, but they thought, he's going to the team's going to be in New York. Why not send it? Apparently, Price still plans on playing on the Friday finale of the season for the Habs. Hopefully, but I'm worried still. I can't help but worry about it because he wasn't playing against the Bruins. He wasn't even the backup. Marty St. Louis said it was rest, but I'm still worried about it.
No, I get why you're worried. I guess from their perspective, the way I would look at it is you gotta. I think you have to err on the side of caution a little bit. Like, especially with Price coming back after a pretty much a full season, almost
280 days or something.
Right, 280 days, and it being a knee injury plus everything else that had happened, and his age and stuff like that. I would also err on the side of caution a little bit too. So I get it from their perspective, and obviously they're not going to tell us the entire truth. It's sports, and they don't, unfortunately.
Okay. So after that game, like Nick Suzuki had like this thing of self-reflection, never taking a day off of like never take advantage of a day being a Montreal Canadian, right? And people talking about maybe he's the captain, maybe Joe Ledmondson. There's Brendan Gallagher who's been a talk before. It's been a very big hot topic this year that Shea Weber has not been around. And I understand it to a point. He wasn't at the home opener. He was at Pekka Rinne's retirement for Nashville. He wasn't apparently there for the Guy Lafleur stuff, but apparently he reached out to the family. I think somebody pointed out. The only time I think we've seen him is when he showed up for that one game to like do his medical thing, and there was a clip of him kicking the ball around with the fellas. He like did one kick, and then that was it. I understand people being upset. And this, I get it because it's his career ending. I don't think it's the exact same thing as Carey Price because Carey Price went into rehab this year. Maybe unpopular opinion here, and I know Eric Engels even talked about it. I think the team have put Weber in a difficult situation here,
right?
Because he has still been named captain. But at the same time, how do you say we're stripping him of it? It's a very unwinnable situation, but I don't think it would hurt Weber to show up for one thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with like, again, I think similar to Eichel, like I think both sides can be right here. Like I think he probably should be here a little more than he has been. But at the same time, we're now at two different management groups who have kept him as captain. And it doesn't mean it just because you take, let's say you take Weber's captaincy away, doesn't mean you have to give it to someone right away. Right? Like that's not that's not how it works. Like you don't have to have a captain. And the leaders who are in the room are going to be the leaders in the room. It's not going to change that. So I get why people are mad at Shea Weber, but again, this is a second management group within that time period where they could have taken the captaincy away, which sounds harsh, but if you're not going to be a part of the team, then take that letter away. You're right. It sounds very weird that he's still captain, or at least in my eyes, it is.
Like it's so difficult because it's always been, there's been the rumor of how we want a captain. Like the new group have mentioned it. I don't think Bergevin ever mentioned it because it was so early in the season and you probably can't do it then, but the new group has mentioned that they want to name a captain for next year, but they're going to be patient with it and they have candidates. Is it such a bad thing to just name a Gallagher captain now? Like, listen, here's the problem too, is it's just different being the captain of the Habs. It's just, it just is. There's a lot more responsibility, and we saw what happened with Max Pacioretty and that. But it's just like Carey Price did that media availability, remember? In the middle of his recovery when people were kind of questioning maybe it's going to be it. Even the game he missed that was like the Indigenous Children's Night. He at least did a video package. You can go the Pekka Rinne thing, but you can't just record a message for Habs fans. Like you don't have to tell me the ins and outs of your injury, but I do. And this is this is the unpopular opinion. Not that the team put them in a bad position, because I think that's pretty fair to say. I think there is an expectation for Shea Weber to at least say something, because you are still technically the Habs captain. Is there fault to the Habs, the organization themselves? Absolutely. But dude, you made a public appearance this year. You did. So that, like, and I get, like, him and Pekka Rinne had that charity together. Obviously, you know, he was a big part of Nashville and all that. But, you know, you went to the finals with this team a few months ago, man. Like, it's just it's not a winnable situation. But like, listen, I think it's couldn't you name captain next year? Because I don't know if Suzuki is quite ready for it. Like, you don't want. I still maintain it's difficult to make him captain the same year his contract kicks in. Right. Because the expectations are that much worse or higher.
And we've seen that done before.
Oh, it's Jack Eichel. How did that go?
Right. But okay, maybe okay. Do you have to have a captain next year? Is that a necessity? Because if you still have Brendan Gall right now, who are the leaders in that room and who are talking to the media every single time?
So the official A's are Suzuki, Gallagher, Byron, who's had it for a couple of years now, and Edmondson. Right. So like Gallagher is always sort of right there, but it's weird that they haven't. You think if they gave it to Weber over him, it makes you think, would they still do it? Because if you make Edmondson captain, there's a chance that by the end of that contract, he could be gone, and then maybe Suzuki is ready for it. When if you give it to Gallagher, not to mention, if you give it to Gallagher, there's a real chance that you may have to probably buy out or cap dump your captain in the future because the way he's been playing. Now, let's see when he gets a full summer and he is able to train his body up in that. But do you really want to end it with Gallagher like that with the C on him?
Probably not.
He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve to have that messy an ending.
If it's a necessity to have a captain, then yeah, sure, go. I think that Joel Edmondson route seems to make sense. How many? He has 2 years left?
I think
or
it's
3
after this season. I think it is. Let me double check. But after this year, I think it's 2 years.
So you have 2 years left. That gives a buffer period, I guess, essentially for Suzuki to continue to mature and continue to grow as a leader in that room, surrounded by even more stronger leaders, veterans who have been in the game for a long time. But I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it differently. I don't see why you wait the full year or the 2 years, still have Suzuki as captain, still have Gallagher, Byron if he's still there, and Edmondson as assistants, and then give the captaincy to Suzuki instead of saying, well, we need a captain, so we'll give it to Joel Edmondson. I don't know if I'm making sense.
By the way, it is 2 years after this.
Okay.
It also makes sense he may end up not being re-signed at that point because of the number of young defensemen they have coming through the system. Right. He might just get pushed out.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird too. There's another sort of point of a guy who can handle it, and who else in the market beside Price, obviously, can handle it and knows what it is besides Gallagher too. Like it's another point for Gallagher is he's the second longest tenure tab on the team. And I do think it is necessary to have a captain. Like you just have to in Montreal. It's a cliche, but it's just difficult. You're like, is there a right answer? Is there a wrong answer? I don't know, man. I don't know. But hey, it's a good problem to have as well. Like you have a few candidates.
Right. That's not the worst issue.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, maybe they sign Bergeron to make him captain. Because that's going to happen. Just watch. Pat coming home. Gotta love Pat. By the way, shout out to Bergeron choosing to play that Bruins game. That Habs Bruins game. Because apparently he was asked if he wanted to take the night off, and he's like, for the Mr. Lafleur, I want to play tonight. Obviously, Quebecois, Mr. Bergeron. Yeah. So I'm sure he would have a little before Pat's time, but still he would appreciate it. Okay. We did that. Okay, so Russia have apparently officially lost the 2023 World Championships. The IIHF a little late on that, but it's happened, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the most surprising thing to happen considering the situation and the possibility of escalation. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to host a hockey tournament in what could potentially be a war zone. Like, you know what I mean? That's not safe. Because I think something not exactly similar happened a few weeks ago in Formula One. Now, I don't remember where exactly it was, but there was bombs going off extremely close by, and there was a discussion that needed to be had amongst the drivers themselves, whether or not they should race. They ended up racing, but again, I guess in this case, we're looking about a year and a couple months in advance and saying, okay, maybe it's not the safest place to play at the moment.
Was it Saudi Arabia?
I believe so.
Yeah, but they were like, we have anti-missile stuff in the on around the track, and it's like, I don't like this. Goalie Mama, who unfortunately we know as a guy who has been a target of two different racial sort of slurs and actions over the past couple of years. There was a Brandon Manning one a couple of years ago. I can't recall who made the gesture to him this year, but a good story with him. He got called up by the Coyotes. He's played a few games, and off a really nice Alex Galchenyuk pass, who is not playing center, by the way, even with all the stuff that's gone wrong there. Goalie Mama, with his family in the crowd, got his first career goal. Really, really nice story that I don't think was being talked about enough, but I'm really happy for that guy because he freaking deserves it.
Yeah, it's always a good story to see something like this happen. Alan Mo's client, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you should mention on the Agent Provocateur. I'm surprised he doesn't do an episode where he just talks about his clients. Sean Dursey, good year, by the way.
I know. Did you know Martin Frk has the hardest shot?
God, legit. Why have they never brought him to an All-Star game just to do that?
Because it's the NHL. That would require creativity and the willingness to have fun.
How about the willingness to change as well? Like how we should change the Masterton. So the Masterton Trophy, awarded annually to the athlete who perseveres and whatnot, things of that nature. Robin Leonard won it, obviously, for his battles of mental health and that. It's weird because some years a great story like that happens, and in other years Yager wins it because he's old and kept playing. So fun fact, Alex, do you know who won the 2001-2002 Masterton was?
I could get the years wrong, but was it Mario Lemieux?
No, it was I believe it was Saku Koivu. Again, that's 2001, 2002. Do you know who won the 2011-2012 Masterton Trophy? Former Hab at the time, Max Pacioretty did.
Oh, really?
So every 10 years, because that was the season after he comes off and breaking his neck. So every 10 years, the Habs seem to win the Masterton.
Okay.
So here are the nominees this year, and there's a bigger point. Every team has their own guy. Anaheim Getzlaf, Arizona Andrew Ladd, Boston Jake DeBrusk, that's awkward. Buffalo Okposo, Calgary Chris Tanev, Carolina Antti Ranta, Chicago Dylan Strome, that's weird. Colorado Jack Johnson, Columbus Justin Danforth, Dallas Tyler Seguin, Detroit Mark Stone, Edmonton Chris Russell, Florida Duclair, Los Angeles Blake Lizotte, Minnesota Jared Spurgeon, Montreal Carey Price. By the way, shout out to their entry being in French and English. Nashville Mark Borecki, the Devils Heischer, the Islanders Chara, the Rangers Chris Kreider, Ottawa Antoine Forsberg, Philadelphia Kevin Hayes, Pittsburgh Brian Boyle, St. Louis Vladimir Tarasenko, San Jose Brent Burns, Jaden Sports for Seattle, Tampa Alex Glorin, Toronto Andre Kasha, Vancouver Luke Shen, Vegas Jack Eichel, Winnipeg Josh Morrissey, Washington Nicholas Backstrom. Okay, so here's the problem every year with the Masterton. Is that you got to choose one winner. So let's just go through a few of these, right? Jack Eichel had to fight to get the surgery he wanted, an 11-month absence before finally being able to play. Okay, that's one thing. Andre Kasha, who has fought through so many concussions. Keep going. Brian Boyle, who actually I think missed a year, previously the guy who kicked cancer's ass. Kevin Hayes, who played through and is getting over the death of his brother. Keep going. Char is a bit weird because he's just old, so it's like, why is that the same? Carey Price, who hadn't played in over 280 days and went through rehab, and you have to choose one of them to say, hey.
And Backstrom too. Backstrom was out for
was it hip surgery?
Yeah.
So it's a little it's a little, I don't like the idea of you almost rank it. It's like, hey there. So let's say it goes to Hayes. It's like, do you know what? It was good, but it's just, you know what, Carey, what you went through wasn't as bad. It's the kind of guy, you went through the worst experience and went through them. Why do we not just award it to a member of each team? I can't stand it. Because now you have Flyers fans and Habs fans being like, my player went through more than yours did. It's like, this is not the discussion to be had.
Yeah, we had that same thing, I think. Well, we have it
Oscar
every
Lindblom.
year. We had Oscar Lindblom last year, but 2 years ago, Bobby Ryan, Stephen Johns, Oscar Lindblom. Bobby Ryan obviously coming back, who also entered the
NHL assistance program.
The NHL assistance program. Stephen Johns, who I think came back from a concussion after experiencing plenty of symptoms, and Oscar Lindblom, obviously, for coming back from cancer.
Kicked cancer's ass.
Yeah, so like those are all three very well deserving nominees, and one of them won. It's just I hate it every year. Like I don't even know what am I supposed to say. Like, okay, Carey Price beat out these two guys. It's just I feel weird saying that. Like it's just not fair to anybody.
I saw someone saying Price has only played like 3 games. I'm like, do you not understand the principle of it? Like it's it's the idea of he actually played, which was the great story. Eichel, neck surgery that half the league didn't want him to get. Again, Hayes lost his brother and came back, and the Flyers haven't been great, but Hayes had a decent year.
Yeah.
It's just I don't. Every year there needs to be an adjustment to the Masterton. It needs to be an adjustment. Okay, Alex, I wanted to quickly steal something from 32 Thoughts, which they've been doing, and I kind of am upset that we didn't think of doing this. As teams have been eliminated, they've been looking through how their seasons have gone and kind of what's next. So I thought we could do a very condensed version of that quickly as I get the standings up. I hate when you look them up on Google because it doesn't show you the wild card. So you've got to go to NHL.com.
The best website in the world.
We can go to league overall and start with last place. It's the Habs. We can actually, you know what? We'll wait for Sunday because we care more about the Leafs and the Habs and other teams on the show. So we can do a nice season debrief then. Why we do a playoff preview for the Leafs. The Coyotes. I mean, it's really just going to be seeing who they can sign going to ASU. I guess we're waiting to see what's happening with Tempe.
Yeah, and keep doing what I guess Bill Armstrong did this year and over the summer, acquire assets, draft picks, and things along those lines. That's the direction they're going.
Probably the same thing as Seattle then. Just keep drafting properly.
Yeah, and maybe find out what's wrong with your goaltending.
Maybe your coach as well. Maybe not Mr. Hackstall. Maybe I don't think he's the option. I cannot wait to see who Philly overpay for in the offseason.
Yeah, there are 2 teams this offseason where I'm like, there's going to be, it feels like there's this feeling in the air that there's going to be some serious changes.
Yeah.
And they're one of them.
Is the other Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I look at every other team and it's like, well, they're either going through a rebuild and stuff, or they're like about to enter a rebuild. Cough, cough, Chicago. So I just, those 2 teams feel like they're going to make changes.
New Jersey need a goaltender. Jesper Bratt's a big question there, but they need a goaltender.
They need Mackenzie. They need healthy Mackenzie Blackwood.
I think that relationship did he change agencies?
I believe he did.
The Blackhawks, I think if they're going full rebuild, the big question this offseason is probably Taves and Kane. I'm interested to see how that ends.
They could get a pretty penny for Patrick Kane. I don't know much. I don't know for Jonathan Taves as much. That's a tough one, but Patrick Kane, he's still over a point per game. I'm just pulling up his stats real quick. He has 26 goals. He has 92 points in 76 games.
You ever seen his war card from JFresh?
No.
How it's it's in the red, but then you look at his micro stats and you're like, what? The model just doesn't apply. Do you know how Steven Stamkos was the first player to say shooting percentage doesn't matter to me?
Yeah.
It's like Patrick Kane looks at the war charts and says, I don't care. I mean, he doesn't play defense, but yeah.
Also helps playing
next.
to Alex DeBrincat, who's potting 40 goals a year.
That is true. And unlike DeBrincat, Kane is not a good person. The Sens.
Maybe
take a step.
Maybe the rebuild will be over next year.
Oh, we hope so. Detroit got a little better this year, but they're still 25th. They need a goaltender too.
Yeah, man, Detroit is a weird one because they've definitely taken steps forward. I think you look at the impact that Lucas Raymond and Seider have had, and you look at, it's Steve Yzerman, so everything he does is right.
Yep,
it's bound to be good eventually.
Sabres had a good year at 24th place. Nah, I don't want to rip on them too much. They just need to. I'm interested to see how they play next year. I don't have high standards, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're fighting for a wild card spot for a portion of the season. I think that's an expectation, I guess.
Maybe the first part, and they'll die off.
Yeah. Maybe like what New Jersey were this year, but maybe you hope they last a little longer.
100%.
Anaheim is probably going to be bad, like very bad. Especially if John Gibson's gone. That's the big question: is what does John Gibson want?
Not even just John Gibson. I'm gonna Cam Fowler too. Right, Cam Fowler has 5 or 4 more years left after this one. Mm-hmm. Like you got to think. Like I'm just looking. They have expiring guys next year too.
They're getting traded.
It's Derek Grant and Kevin Shattenkirk.
Oh, Derek Grant's getting traded and re-signing them because he always does that with them.
Yeah, like that's a weird team because we all thought they were going to do something this year or something. They'll be a lot better than they looked, and then they ended up selling all those assets.
Yeah,
it's like okay, that's the way we're going.
San Jose need a goaltender. I mean, no, the Reimer's all right. They need to trade a goaltender because they have 3, don't they? They need a GM. And what is the direction? Marc-Edouard Vlasic's future is a big question. Is he going to get bought out? But what's the GM? Who's the GM?
Yeah, that'll
not
be
Julian. No, not Julian Breesbach. Not
Matthew Darsh.
Not Matthew Darsh. Not Matthew Darsh.
I think the GM will answer a lot of questions. Like it's obviously they're not going to a rebuild. That's clearly not happening. But that defense, that's a lot of money.
And a lot of age.
Guys. Yeah.
A lot of age.
Yeah.
Columbus. I don't know. I don't know. Just do you stay the course? Do you take a swing in the off season? You're starting to see the future there, but I'm like, what do I see Columbus? What do you see Columbus doing in the off season?
It's just hard because again, and I think Kekalainen would admit this himself, where if you're going to try to take a swing, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny. And I think they have a couple things that they have to deal with already, which is what are you doing with Patrick Laine? And what are you doing with Jonas Korpisalo? It seems like Korpisalo is out the door, but for me, I look at Laine and say, okay, what are you doing there? Because you kind of told Zach Werenski said, we're not doing a rebuild, even though you're kind of doing a rebuild, but you're doing a rebuild. But if you lose Patrick Laine, like a guy who can score like that does not grow on trees, despite what this year might tell us. He does not grow. They do not grow on trees.
The Blue Jackets, I believe, are the team that can, if I can do my math properly, I think they are the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so no, they can't win the draft lottery. I think they're just out of range, which is unfortunate, but good for, we'll take it. The Islanders, Varlamov, maybe, do they stay the course? They retrial? What's up with Barzal? It's interesting with the Islanders.
I think they stay the course, just because, yes, this year went completely off the rails, but I do think the arena and having to start your season for the first month away, and then just throwing yourselves into a completely brand new arena. I think that does have an effect for these guys. So I think they run it back.
I'll take. They miss the playoffs next year and Barry Trotz is fired.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Does he speak French?
I don't think. We got Marty. We're good. We're good. I don't think he does, but Barry. I don't want any more defensive hockey. I'm sick of that. No more. Had to deal with that for a decade in Montreal. No. The Jets. I think we talked about the big question, and Elliot Friedman mentioned this not too long ago, that to keep an eye on what's going on in Winnipeg with Pierre-Luc Dubois, and if he wants to re-sign long-term, and if he doesn't, maybe they move him. I'm interested to see, because I don't think they can mess that up. And I wonder, by the way, if he does move on, if Montreal are in on that. Because I think some people are saying they would be interested, but I wonder about that. Because if he doesn't want to stay there, then what did you get?
Where does he want to stay?
Not Columbus.
And not Winnipeg.
I mean, not many people stay in either of those markets, right? So.
Well, I mean, okay.
No offense, Winnipeg. I'm sorry.
I guess, sure. I really wonder what direction the Jets are going to move in the offseason, because they're in that stage where it's like they're clearly good enough, or maybe not clearly, but I think they're good enough to make a playoff spot. Yeah. But then they don't, and they're this middling team, and you have the player, you have really good players there, right? You got Kyle Connor, you got Nick Ehlers, you got Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Josh Morrissey, Connor Hellebuck. What are we like? We got to pick a direction.
Watch them not do anything.
They're gonna they think they'll be like the Calgary Flames, which I mean, sure, might be possible, but
get a good coach.
Yeah, that helps.
Steve Nash may be available. We're Doc Rivers, different sport, but we take it. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks. We can't talk. We already talked about Vegas, but they're not officially yet. But we talked about Vegas. Vancouver could look pretty different.
Yeah, they could. I mean, God, I hope they keep Bruce Boudreau, because that has seemingly worked. They've had their ups and downs, but it's not the same way of the ups and downs earlier this season under Jim Benning and Travis Green. It's a different set of ups and downs, if that makes any sense at all.
I'd like to know their record with Boudreau, the full season record at some point. I'd like to know what that is.
With Bruce Boudreau. Yeah.
I'd like to know what it is, because they're at 89 points right now. So they're 2 behind Vegas.
Wow. Okay. So under Travis Green, they were 8-15-2.
Not good.
Not good. Under Boudreau, they're 31-15-9.
Oh, I didn't know that. Overtime on. They need to get rid of the pity point, because that's 9 is a lot. 9 is a lot.
But yeah, no, they need to keep Bruce Boudreau. I think that is thing number 1, in my opinion.
I'm looking right now, and they have more regulation wins. The Islanders have more regulation wins than Dallas. That tells you a lot, doesn't it? That tells you a lot. Well, only one line in Dallas scores, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, well, so this Sunday will be special. Obviously, we get to do the playoff preview for the Leafs. We're probably not going to talk about the Bruins game, because who cares about the Bruins game? Alex. And then Leafs preview, Habs season debrief, and get rid of the pain of the season once and for all. We'll do the end of season 2-in-1 podcast award show of prestige and honor. We'll figure out. I gotta remember, what did we do? We had the Gordon Bombay power move. We had the embarrassing moment of the year. I'm actually gonna put those. The Gordon. Alex, would you like to say something as I'm doing some writing?
Yeah, I can end the episode real quick.
Sure.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the 2-on Podcast. If you enjoyed your time with us, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to rate on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Where we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok,
Love the TikTok.
Love the TikTok. All the links will be in the comments below, and share with your friends, obviously.